Hi, my name is Reed Silverne. The name of this show is Fed Pride. The reason it's called Fed Pride is because I'm a federal worker and proud of it. And I'm going to do the traditional spin of the earth. I have a potential guest, Chicago. All right, here he is. Okay.
Where's my 3 at?
All right. Why don't you stand up and show everybody your outfit?
It's everyday punk gear, real punk rocker, urban tribal gear, representing Tucson, Southside Chicago, Berkeley, San Francisco, Oakland, New York. 7 years of regional coordinator in the New York Guardian Angels. Thanks, Curtis, for raising me.
All right. You know, in Fed Pride, I usually don't have guests. I ran into Chicago. I've seen him around here quite a bit. He's a local character over here of significant value.
Church of All Walls.
And if you watch the show back in the 90s when I first started, I used to have guests quite a bit. I haven't lately. I used to be on live, which I'm live to tape now, so I used to take calls and so on and so forth. And lately, the only guests I've had are the ladies from the Quilt Guild. So Chicago's going to be a departure for me. And why don't you explain to me what your outfit's about, and especially the can openers and all this other good stuff that you got over here. How'd you design that?
Well, first, everyone's an artist.
Oh, wait a second. Before you do this,
We need the mic up.
yeah, I need you to mic, and I got to turn the mic on.
Oi,
I
oi.
apologize to everybody because
Up the punks.
nobody heard his little rap before. Why don't you put this? See if you can get it on. Let's see if we're getting any signal from you. Okay, why don't you say something here?
Testing. Oi, oi.
All right, okay, you're on. All right, as I said, and I know that you had a little bit of dead air when Chicago came in over here. I usually don't have guests. Chicago's a fellow who's been knocking around Tucson for, how long have you been?
5 years.
5 years? And how long have you been on Access Tucson?
4 years now.
4 years? And what is your show?
We have Soul Food, and we do the Mayor and City Council.
Oh, the Mayor and City Council.
Yes, we represent
right.
all Tucson Church Without Walls.
All right, the Church
Church
Without Walls.
Church with community, church of the community, church
All right.
full of artists and people from all backgrounds and walks of life.
Okay, there you are. And you were going to tell me about your outfit. You seem to have an eclectic combination of lingerie and bottle tops and beer can tops and everything else. What's that about?
I've been a punk rocker all my life, and people have been making money off punk fashion, and they had nothing to do with punk rocker. Places like Hot Topics, they make a big money and lots of money, but what about the people who've been punks all their life, who lived, died, did whatever it takes, all right, for the punk to be punk, all right,
Okay.
for the love of the music.
Yeah, now you're from Chicago, right?
Clark and Belmont, Southside.
Okay. All right. Now, the punk scene goes back to the late 70s and early 80s, started in CBGBs in New York and in London and places like that.
I would say more with Chuck Berry and guys like Lil Richie and Muddy Waters.
You consider them punk?
That's where we
Okay.
got it from, all right?
Oh, that's where you got it from.
Elvis, the Beatles, they all stole it from Muddy Waters and Chuck Berry.
Okay, I'm going to have to lower your gain a little bit. So Chuck Berry, but Chuck Berry was more, you know, 50s
It's all rock and roll.
rock and roll.
It's all
yeah,
rock and roll.
Right, as opposed to the Clash. When
Yes.
you think of punk rock, you think of the Sex Pistols, the Clash,
Ramones.
the Ramones. You think
Long live
about
Joey and Ramones.
Yeah.
God bless you. Long live you.
yeah, you think about the late 70s.
Sid Nancy.
All that Sid and Nancy, which is one of my favorite movies, although I wouldn't recommend it for anybody under 21, maybe more. Pretty grim stuff. But so you go back to the origins of there. What was the place that had punk rock in Chicago?
Wow. The Far Side Ballroom. The Far Side.
And what part of Chicago was that?
That's
Division
it.
Street. I mean,
It's in the area of downtown area.
All right.
Bowling Alley, we opened for DI and a lot of good punk groups. But punk is a community, just like the hippies had a community. It is people from all different walks of life who like one thing, and that's music.
All right. Okay.
And art is on the inside. Some artists is like, I freak out if I don't have a camera in my hand, or I'm not able to do film, or I'm not able to be on TV, because it's art to me. It's my job. It's where it's just part of me.
Now, do you play the guitar? Or, I don't know a lot about your personal thing. Are you a singer? What kind of music do you play yourself?
I listen to the Ramones day and night.
Oh, okay.
And I
All right,
and
is school out?
and just learning to live every day with my punk family, people from all walks of life, and just loving to love Tucson and people in my community, because we need our police department, we need our fire department, we need our ambulance drivers, we need the good people, because with everything there is bad things, all right?
Okay.
We have bad police officers, but we need our good police officers to shine,
No.
and we need our good fire department to shine.
Okay. Now, let me ask you one thing about punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
Is school out for summer? Is school out forever?
But people want to
That's
know
a
what it's
Ramon
like
quote.
to be
Yeah, right,
punk
yeah.
all your life.
Yeah.
And when you get old and you're like a 12-year-old punk rocker, you grow up and you be like me.
Yeah, right.
That's
okay.
right. It's an inner thing that reflects your outer things.
Okay. And I know that my public can't see everything, but he has some Indian stuff.
It's urban tribal gear.
Yeah, on. He has holsters, for 6 guns.
We're just punk. We're just alternative. And some punks don't dress punk, all right? Some punks are police officers. Some punks are lawyers and judges. We're from all walks of life. Just be who you are and what you feel without having someone judge you.
All right. Okay. Anyway, I thought
I
that
must
you were
leave.
a very interesting character,
And-
so I wanted you on.
And God bless everyone.
Yeah.
And we put Jesus first in Tucson, no matter where you go. And if you're a family member of mine or related with Church of All Walls, you're supposed to be on the phone calling your relatives, and the sun going up and sun down, letting them know that you love them and that you're going to pray with them. It's all about
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah, I'm not really into promoting.
Love.
Well, I don't mind love, but specific religions, not really.
My
Yeah.
Protestant side
All
wars
right.
against my Catholic side, and my Catholic side wars against my Protestant side. But I will beat into Jesus from Genesis to Revelations. And that's the way we all should be.
All right.
Bye, you guys.
There you are.
Tucson, you rock, and we love you.
Okay. You can de-mic.
I'm D-Miking.
Yeah, there you are.
There you
Okay.
go. I did my job. I came to represent my city. Tucson.
Right.
We love you, Chicago. We love you, Clark and Belmont. We love you, Tucson.
Okay. Nobody can hear you. All right. Well, anyway, I thought that was interesting. He's a really colorful guy and colorful character, so I have no problem. Obviously, very, very religious, although I didn't know that when I first met him. So I thought that was a good little touch, and I'm really happy to have him on. And I think I haven't seen his show, but I'm going to start watching and see what's going on. So Access Tucson, wonderful thing about it, anything can happen. Anybody can get a show. If anybody is interested, contact Access Tucson, and it just shows that obviously you don't have to be multi-millionaire as you do to get on regular TV, or you don't have to go up through the ranks. You don't have to be liked by Fox or hired as a page by NBC and then work your way up the ranks. Anybody can get a show. All you have to do is arrive here. You have to take a few classes. You have to really want it. And then you have to put your name in. And what we do is we have a lottery. And if you get a lottery, especially if you're if you want a live show at a specific time, you're probably not going to get it. But if you're willing to take any show at any time, go into live to tape format like I am, you're very, very likely to get a show. And if you do get a show, you might get it on digital, not on analog, which is non-digital, but you can get something. So be that as it may, I'm going to go into my usual Fed Pride thing, and I'm going to take I'm going to do something that I've tried to do a couple times and have failed because I can't see, but it worked this time, and I'm going to fly in through the clouds into Washington, D.C., and right underneath me is, let's see if I can get it to move a little bit. There is the White House. And what I'm trying to get across is Washington in general, because there is a big move to ease the credit crisis, and what is the credit crisis and what has caused it. And Chicago over here, I don't know whether he had his own house or whether he's ever tried to buy a house or what exactly his story is, but there is a situation that has caused the collapse of some major hedge funds, and on top of it, some major mortgage banks that is basically affecting the entire economy. There's been two mini collapses in the market where the S&P 500 went down a total of about 10%, from about 1560 down to under 1400, dipped under 1400. Then some good news, looked like the Fed was pushing money into the credit system, went up to the mid 1400s, crashed down to below 1400 for about a day or so, and now is up almost to 1500 again. So this is Friday, the 31st of August. By Monday, could be down 100 points or up 100 points. Hard to say. But basically what has happened is there's a crisis in the subprime mortgage market. Basically back in around the year 2000, there was a very, very sudden and difficult situation where recession was looming. The dot-com collapse had occurred. I lost a lot of my personal fortune in that. A lot of people in California, there was an S&L crisis previously, had a real estate crunch, but that was way before that. This was mostly liquidity caused by certain companies defrauding and cheating, Enron, WorldCom, and some others, at the same time that the bubble in internet had burst. And a lot of the IPOs collapsed, a lot of these small companies collapsed, and a lot of big companies that were fudging and defrauding their financial statements collapsed. A recession began in the United States. There was already a recession in Japan and Germany. It seemed like a very serious crisis, and most of the central banks in the world, including ours, started lowering interest rates and really pushing easy credit. At the bottom of this whole thing, around 2002 and 2003, the Fed funds rate was 1%, and basically a mortgage was about 5.5%, and the mortgage banks were making the largest profits they had ever made. As the economy got stronger and stronger, the Fed started tightening up, and interest rates started to rise back up. Another factor that was causing interest rates to rise up is that the European Euro's interest rates were much higher than ours, and as a result, we were having trouble keeping the value of the dollar in par with the euro. And in fact, the euro went from a value of 86 cents to a value of about $1.39, movement of almost 50%, in fact, I think of 50% plus, in about 2 years. So in order to keep the Europeans from continuing to enter our markets, continuing to buy our treasuries, we have tremendous debt, debt due to the war, federal deficit, and a gigantic, unbelievable trade deficit. We wanted the Chinese, Japanese, all these foreign countries to reinvest in dollars. In order to do that, the interest rates had to go up. And when the interest rates went up, the margins for the mortgage companies got narrower. And consequently, while the interest rates were very, very low, housing prices doubled. And even more in places like California and parts of the East Coast. So what did that do? You ended up with tract homes valued at $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, moderate, somewhat large homes, the 3,000 square foot specials at $1 million, especially in places like Silicon Valley and Orange County, California, even Portland, Seattle, New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey suburbs, Connecticut, housing prices ballooned. One of the reasons they ballooned is because the low interest rates, and even more so, the creative interest rates allowed people to get into these houses. As the price went up, they were basically even given balloons saying, here's your interest rate, low interest rate, low payment, still talking $1,500, $2,000, but on, houses worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, still much lower than the true payment would have been. And the other thing they had were teaser rates. Teaser rates would last 1 to 2 years, sometimes 2 to 3. They'd have a teaser rate of 3%, and then the interest rate would go to whatever the going rate is, right now over 6%. So this would be a doubling of the payment. So people who were making a payment of just $1,000 or $1,500 were looking at a payment of $3,000. But they were putting people in to these houses who absolutely did not have the resources to be able to, or the credit, to be able to pay the real payment on these houses, the real payment on the value and the purchase price of these houses. Something's got to give, and it's been given. And what has happened is the default rate on these subprime mortgages has skyrocketed. In the next year or two, a lot of the tickler rates are going to collapse, and they're going to go to the true rate. And when that happens, there's up to 2 million homeowners, probably, at an average of 3 or 4 people per house. We're talking about 6 to 8 million people losing their homes. 2 million homeowners losing their homes in the next couple of years. So a number of things happened that really endangered our market. First thing that happened is a series of hedge funds collapsed. A lot of these mortgage brokers took these subprime mortgages and even just shaky mortgages, packaged them up into financial items, I guess you might say. And what these were is you would be able to buy stock in a set of mortgages. So you'd have a set of mortgages that's owned by a fund. The fund would actually let you buy shares in it, and if the value of these mortgages went up, if everybody kept on paying their mortgage, the investors were happy, and the price and value of that investment would go up. However, what was happening is there were an unusually high rate of defaults, and the investors were disappointed. They basically started selling off these securities, and then these hedge funds that owned large blocks of these securities started to collapse. And there was a very bad case of that. There were a couple cases within the United States, and the market was shaken. Then there was a mortgage house that went down. And over here in Tucson, First Magnus went out of business and laid off 800 people. So that was another symptom of it. But it became international when a fund controlled by BNP Paribas in France completely collapsed, and everybody who had their money in it lost everything. The European stock market went down hundreds of points in a day, and this triggered reductions to the stock market in China, in Asia, in America, and a lot of other places. So, and that's what led the S&P, which I think is the most significant of those. The Dow went down 800 points or 1,000 points, but the S&P went down at least a minimum of 10% plus. And when it goes down below 1,400, I think it's pretty serious, considering its high has been over 1,500. Meanwhile, the Dow is over 13,000. It had gone over 14,000 and now was down almost below 13,000. So this is kind of a shock to the system, And the problem is that if people get worried, especially if there's a bubble, and they think they're going to lose money, they will pull everything out of everything. There'll be a run on the bank, and once that happens, banks, credit, so on and so forth, are not able to give out loans, and we have what we call liquidity crisis. That liquidity crisis almost occurred at PNB Paribas fund collapse, and the European market, the European Central Bank, called the ECD, put billions of dollars of liquidity into the market, and followed by our Fed. And that was the first rise. Then it went down again when Countrywide Mortgage and another mortgage company collapsed, and First Magnus. And now what Bush has done is Bush has come in and said that he will make FHA loans available for those people with subprime loans but with good credit, and rescue about 80,000 people. And of course the loan companies want them to go in there. 60 mortgage companies have gone out of business in this crisis. So this is not anything. Just the people who work for these companies, that alone, thousands and thousands of jobs that have disappeared. So this is a pretty serious thing, and it looks like the Fed is going to actually lower the Fed funds rate. They lowered a discount rate that kind of saved the market the last time around. It didn't seem to take, because some mortgage companies have gone out of business since then. But you know, that kind of gave a signal. And now there's been a speech by Bernanke. He's the new Greenspan, the guy who runs the Federal Reserve, which is our central bank. The European Central Bank has been pouring in money. The Chinese Central Bank has been pouring in money to try to reliquefy credit throughout the world and avoid a super crisis. Is this going to work? I don't know. I don't know whether we're going to have another instance of this. And it is very, very possible that around the corner there could be another hedge fund collapse that's going to really affect people, or just the fact that some homes are going down in value. Here in Arizona, there was a story that said the average the median price, not the average price, there's a difference, has gone down 0.3%. First drop in a single month in decades. So that's not true in California, because California did have some drops in the late 80s and early 90s during the S&L collapse. But it's significant. If people think that the homes are not going to go up in value, and their home is now valued below the value of the mortgage, it is to their advantage, unless if they think they can figure out a way to save their credit, to walk away and to leave that home in the hands of the bank or the mortgage company. And if it gets to that, that's one danger. The other danger is that people are going to say, I can't refinance my house, my debt is too high, my credit card debt is too high, I am in a little bit of trouble, I am going to stop spending so much money. I'm not going to go down to the furniture store and buy that new couch on credit. I'm not going to go down to the to trade in my car and buy a brand new car for a $400 a month payment. I'm not going to go buy that new refrigerator I wanted to buy. I'm not going to refinance and add a room to my house, and that could reduce economic activity throughout the economy. Consumer spending in America, 70% of the economy, and also the driver between a lot of our trade deficit. So if people stop spending, we could have a real recession, and then the interest rates would start going down, and a lot of people on the fixed income, the CDs and the banks and so on and so forth, that would go down too. So you could have a situation, and that kind of happened the early noughts, 2000 and 2001, where the stocks are going down, the interest rates are going down, everybody it didn't happen in 2000, but it's happened in our past. Home prices are going down. People are feeling poor all the way around.